Hello, everyone. This is Dave Chen. Just wanted to let you know that during our film news discussion this week, we actually spoil Man of Steel. So if you don't want to know the ending of Man of Steel, probably best to skip the film news discussion. Other than that, I think all spoilers are pretty accurately marked. So enjoy this week's episode. Thanks.
Slash Filmcast for the girls, boys, old, young, and we watch till the last of the credits is done.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slash Filmcast, the official podcast of SlashFilm.com. My name is David Chen, and with me is
Devindra Hardwar.
Joining us today, he's the editor-in-chief at SlashFilm.com. He's also the person that makes the Slash Filmcast possible, Peter Soretta. Welcome back to the Slash Filmcast, sir. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me on, Dave.
Peter, it's been so long. Every single time you come on the show, people are always like, why isn't Peter Soretta on the show more often? So, glad to have you back on. And you just came back from Comic-Con, right?
Yes, I'm finally recovered from that Saturday in Hall H, which you guys talked about last week. It was just insane.
I heard some pretty... I talked to a couple of friends and colleagues about what Comic-Con was like this year and how the lines were more insane than ever before. And I think what... one of my friends said to me was that the number of people is relatively similar to years past, but the culture of line waiting has transformed.
Well, Comic-Con can't get any bigger because the convention hall has not expanded. So they have the same amount of people, but I think what happened was Twilight. And I'm not saying this in a bad thing, but the amount of fandom that came with Twilight, I think, escalated that line and how early you had to get in line to get into Hall H. And I feel that now there's a generation of people that have only been to Comic-Con for the last 3 or 4 years that's all they know is, we got to wait overnight, and it just gets earlier.
So that sounds
earlier.
The sort of the general trend you're describing, I find plausible. But to be fair, a lot of people have pinned the whole Comic-Con fandom explosion thing on other properties as well, like Harry Potter, for example, or anything that's not like hardcore comics. I just don't want to make Twilight the scapegoat.
Oh no!
You know what I mean?
I just feel like I don't know. I had only been going a few years before Twilight, but I had never seen a line like there was for that first Twilight panel.
Well, it used to be that you could get in line at around 6 a.m., right, for a 9 a.m. panel at Hall H, and you would be relatively guaranteed.
Well, there is no 9 a.m. panel. It's probably like 10 or 11.
Sure,
so
10 or
6
11.
a.m. Yes,
you'd be relatively guaranteed to get into Hall H if you got in line at 6 a.m. But I think you guys got in line at 1 a.m. the night before and barely got in, or something like that, right?
Yeah, well, for Saturday, we actually got in line. We had people in line at 10. We were doing shifts just to make it possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough because we work there, and the night before another panel, we don't have the time to wait in line. We actually have to be writing. We actually have to be networking and doing stuff, so it's hard to be in line and cover the con at the same time.
That sounds hellish, because I remember when I was going with you guys, Peter, we would go there at least for 6 a.m., and that was kind of crazy at the time, but sort of guaranteed you getting in at least.
Yeah. And thank God, laptop batteries have gotten better, because back then I remember we would have to trade out and find a wall socket or whatever,
right.
But now my MacBook Air can last the whole day almost.
You need the new MacBook Air for sure.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Peter, glad to have you back, and some nice coverage on the website. I watched a few of the video blogs and got a bit nostalgic for when we did.
I ran into so many Slash Film readers at the convention.
Excellent.
And every year, Dave, they always ask, why isn't Dave here?
Well, next year, sir, we'll do a panel or something. Okay. I got a bit nostalgic for I still remember when we recorded a video blog for Where the Wild Things Are, which was then mentioned in somewhat disparaging terms in the New York Times. That was fun. Good times, man. Good times. I'll always remember it. Anyway, if you're just tuning into the Slash Filmcast for the first time, find more of our episodes at slashfilmcast.com. Email us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com. Today we're going to be discussing what we've been watching. moving on into a discussion of some of this week's and last week's film news, and then concluding with one in-depth review. This week we'll be reviewing The Wolverine. So, guys, a lot of content today. Let's get into it as fast as possible. Let's start with me. What I have been watching. I actually won a Blu-ray in an online contest.
You just won't shut up about that thing, Dave.
I'm so excited because winning something is so
$15 Blu-ray. All right.
I'm so psyched. Actually, Vince Mancini from Film Drunk gave me a difficult time because he said, "Dude, you realize, like, as host of the Slash Filmcast, you could just call someone and get it for free, right?" And I said, "Look, Vince, not all of us have a platform like Film Drunk." But whatever the case, I am really happy that I got this Blu-ray. And I want to just say, like, upon watching it again...
Wait, which Blu-ray, by the way? I didn't think you said the movie yet.
The Dredd, the Blu-ray for Dredd, the new Judge Dredd sort of reincarnation. And Carl Urban does a great job in it. I kind of wanted to see it again, because I really enjoyed this movie in theaters. It makes for an interesting double feature with The Raid. And because they both have to deal with like scaling this gigantic building and defeating enemies floor by floor. Yeah. And when I watched it again, I still enjoyed it, but I have to say I don't think I enjoyed it as much as when I watched it in theaters on like 10 p.m. on a Saturday evening, like
in 3D, probably
in 3D months ago.
That movie is better with a big audience and in 3D, especially those sequences that are in slow motion, what they call it in the movie.
The drug is called slow mo. I wouldn't say that it's better with an audience. I would say like the fact that I was in a place in my life at that point when I was going to a movie theater at Saturday at 10 p.m. added this kind of depressing sheen to the whole affair that I feel like jives really well with the dystopian nightmare that is the megacities that are depicted in the film.
Sure.
But as
You're
for
like as difficult as a giant city.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And the thing
People
is,
can barely live and eat.
the thing is, this is a movie that actually looks better in 3D than it does in 2D. Like if you watch it 2D, it's like ultra grainy. The special effects look really cheap and like flimsy as compared to watching it in 3D. It's a really interesting effect. So I would definitely say watch it in 3D. I actually have a 3D TV, tried it on 3D, and then tried it in 2D, and it was much better in 3D.
Is it the 3D Blu-ray or is it just a straight up normal Blu-ray?
It's the Blu-ray contains both versions of the film.
Okay.
So,
well, yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
You're fine.
And so, it's pretty cool stuff. Peter, you mentioned slow-mo. Very cool. Like, they shot using phantom cameras, I think, at like 2,000 frames per second. And it's just a really interesting effect. So you can tell the movie is kind of low budget, but I'm still really impressed with what they were able to achieve. And this week, there is actually a campaign, an official petition by 2000 AD to create a sequel for Dredd starring Carl Urban. I have no idea how successful this will be. The movie did quite well on DVD and Blu-ray. It sold 650,000 copies in its first week. And so a lot of people said to themselves, oh my gosh, of course it's going to get a sequel. I mean, just for context, the movie's budget is $50 million, but it only made $35 million worldwide. That is is really rough.
That's tough.
Scott Mendelson wrote a piece in January called "Sorry, Dredd 3D still not getting a theatrical sequel," where he compares these 650,000 DVDs with like Transporter 3, which sold 607,000 DVDs in its release in March of 2009 and sold 1.2 million DVDs and Blu-rays in its first several months. Still not enough to get you Transporter 4. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of examples of movies that sell well on DVD, but that it's not enough to justify.
But aren't we getting some sort of Transporter TV series at some point? Is that happening?
I think so.
There
was
some
in the
talk
works.
Yeah, so, I mean, the thing about Transporter is that, it really lends itself to procedural-type storytelling, and so does Dredd, actually. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a sequel movie, but maybe some sort of, like, sequel series on something like Netflix. Like, if this thing hits Netflix, I feel like it would do pretty well.
Dredd would be a great TV show.
Yeah.
Especially with the procedural aspect.
And still starring Carl Urban.
Yeah, because he was really good in that movie. Like, and the thing is... you just think of what it was like compared to the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd, which is also a financial disaster, by the way. But yeah,
also a creative disaster. So.
and a creative disaster. But yeah, you know, I think what kind of sums up the whole thing is that Judge Dredd in the original comics, he never took his helmet off, right? And it is asking a lot for an actor to have a helmet on the entire film, because not only is it not good for your profile, but it's also like it's hard to emote through a helmet when they can only see your mouth. And you know, Sylvester Stallone opted to get rid of the helmet really early on. And I think
I only have one expression, guys. Don't make it worse.
And the movie suffered for it. And I mean that not just because you see Sylvester Stallone's face. I mean that's not. That's not a dig on Sylvester Stallone's looks. I'm just saying like there's a kind of vanity to that project.
Okay, I think you're okay to dig on Sylvester Stallone's face just a bit.
There's a kind of vanity to that project that is not here at all. You know what I mean?
Whereas this Carl Urban, like just his he has this frown expression that he does, annoyed frown. Perfect. Just like that. That's all you need to do, really.
Dredd is available now on Blu-ray and video on demand, but I would check out the Blu-ray and watch it in 3D if you can. Devindra Hardawar, what have you been watching this week?
I've been catching up on Longmire. It's an A&E show about a Wyoming sheriff. Sort of a procedural, just him like dealing with crimes around that area. But I think it's actually really interesting. This show, I think if you've seen the previews in theaters or the commercials, it kind of comes off as a Justified light or something, or like Justified in more of an actual Western environment. And it's sort of like that. It's also actually based on a series of novels about this character, Walt Longmire. But it's actually a show that I've just grown to really enjoy, mainly because the core cast is great. The guy who plays Walt Longmire, Robert Taylor, he's sort of like he's a character actor that's been in all sorts of stuff. He was actually, I was looking over his IMDb here, he was Skip Taylor in Vertical Limit, if you remember that, Dave. He was one of the other agents. He was Agent Jones in the original Matrix. He's been in a bunch of TV shows, too. But this guy really embodies what this character needs to be, mainly because he feels like a cowboy, just taken out of an old Western series and placed in a modern TV show. And he also has a voice that can cut gravel. So it's really fun to see him play this character. He's sort of like a straight up, a very tough, no-nonsense sheriff, but he's also dealing with issues of his own, as I think our procedural lead characters have to these days. So he's dealing with like the death of his wife and potentially some things he was involved with around after that. There's sort of like a revenge storyline too, but he's great. Lou Diamond Phillips is in this show as his Native American best friend. Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica is in this. Just a bunch of people I really enjoy seeing. Lou Diamond Phillips, by the way, this guy, like how many ethnicities has he played by this point? Like just he's Filipino. But he has played pretty much everything right at this point because he's just, his skin is like. Yeah,
just brown. He came to power with La Bamba, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then Stand and Deliver, and he's been.
And he still looks pretty young too.
He does. He still looks pretty young. So anyway, I just like seeing Lou Diamond Phillips. Whenever I see him, I have a little sense of joy. I love seeing him like the first season of 24, for example. So he's fun. Katie Sackhoff, if you've seen Battlestar Galactica, she does her like tough girl cop thing here as well. The show doesn't really give much time to her character, but it's still nice to see her around. Mainly what I like about it is the texture. A lot of TV shows, we've seen so many procedurals, and I've talked about this before, where like the real difference in a procedural is like the setting, or maybe the characters are a little different. I'm not the type of person that watches Law and Order, right, or any of those spin-off series, but I enjoy procedurals that kind of offer something different. I think the Wyoming setting is just it's really interesting to see. It does feel like a modern day Western, basically, like one episode actually deals with a plot point where Walt Longmire and his deputies have to save women who are, tied to train tracks, like an old Western cartoon. They have to save the women before the train runs over them. It's kind of funny because they're definitely playing on that Western trope, except doing a lot more with it and making it more modern. I think it's also interesting too because it deals a lot with Native American reservations and the conflict between their lives, their very internal their lives are closed off from the rest of the world, and how they have to deal with people living around them, especially white people living around them. We talked about this, I think, sort of around Lone Ranger, but this show does a great job of focusing on Native American characters and kind of giving us a sense of the struggles they're dealing with. So I really enjoy it for that. So basically, if you like Justified, if you like procedurals, check out Longmire. It's on A&E, and the whole first season's on Netflix right now. So definitely worth a watch.
Very cool. What else have you been watching? Oh, actually, Devindra, I also wanted to mention, you're talking about Lou Diamond Phillips. You know who another actor who kind of can play any ethnicity is? Carlo Rota. Do you know who that is? He played Chloe O'Brien's husband in 24.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he played a British guy in that show. I think he was born in the UK, but I mean, in the last 5-10 years, I think I was pretty shocked when he showed up on Breaking Bad as Benicio Fuentes, who is a kind of Hispanic drug scientist. But he's also played like Russians and Arabs and all these different types of.
Basically, if you're a little brown, so like if you're Hispanic or Arabic or kind of South Asian, you can do this, guys. You can do it. Actually, who's talking about I think Peter, you're going to talk about The Bridge soon. Damian Bashir in that show is playing a Mexican cop. It's sort of like. It's just kind of funny how we can transplant these races. But I think there's something problematic about that, but at the same time, hey, at least it's somebody who is slightly different.
At least it's someone who's probably not white. You can't even tell. Anyway.
Yeah. There's probably not a huge selection of quality Native American actors out there too. At least not that we've seen.
Okay, let's not. I don't agree that that's the
So is Damien not Mexican?
I believe wasn't he in Star Trek?
He was born in Mexico.
He was born in Mexico? Okay, I'm thinking of somebody else.
Because I actually bought it. I was like, oh my God, I feel so stupid.
Yeah, he is a Mexican actor. So
okay. He's actually a Mexican actor. Well, the real reason, I'm not saying that there are no Native American actors out there. I'm saying the reason we see other races cast in these roles is because, they're not up there in Hollywood yet. So we kind of have to make do with what we've got. I'll say, it's definitely, we don't want to see other races playing Asian characters as much because it's kind of tough. I agree with you there, Dave. But, for brown people, it's just kind of like we can make it work to a certain degree.
Well, okay, couple things. First of all, it's a chicken and the egg problem, Devindra. I mean, there's this pervasive notion. I don't want to get into this whole thing again, but there's this pervasive notion in Hollywood that if you have a TV series or a movie or whatever that doesn't star a white person, it's not going to make as much money, or and therefore they don't hire any Asian or black or whatever actors to headline these major films, and then it perpetuates a cycle. So I'm very cautious. I guarantee you, Devindra, there are a ton of really talented Native American actors out there. There are a ton of really talented Asian actors out there that just don't have a chance to shine in the Hollywood system as it currently is.
That's kind of what I'm saying. They don't get the respect or they don't get the spotlight on them. So
right. So I guess my
have seen.
Where I would agree with you is that having someone of some ethnicity play those ethnicities is not as bad as having a white person play those ethnicities, but it's not quite there yet. But hey, whatever, progress,
We're
right?
getting there. We are slowly getting there. And actually, Peter, you're right. Damian Bashir is Mexican. I was thinking somebody else with a very similar name, but it's kind of the thing. We see a lot of characters who are slightly brown playing different races all the time, and I think most people don't even notice, which is probably the sadder thing for me.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
I wanted to mention that when I was at Comic-Con, I was talking to Mark Millar, who's a comic book writer, but a lot of his stuff now is getting film adaptations, or at least being developed into films.
Well, this is the guy who did Kick-Ass and who did Wanted, right?
We've talked a lot about him.
Yeah, and almost if you look on IMDb, almost any project that he has this project coming out, Secret Service, Michael Caine, almost everything that he's writing is being adapted. Someone's developing an adaptation. But one of the questions I asked him, I was like, now that you're creating all these things that are becoming films, is it now becoming part of your structure to think of it as the movie while you're writing the comic book? And he brought up that he said no. And he said, actually, one of the things he's working on, there's a Hispanic lead. And some people have said to him while he's working on it, are you upset that telling him not to make him Hispanic because then they won't be able to cast someone in the eventual movie. But he liked them being Hispanic, so he made him Hispanic. And I think in that actual case, they actually are changing the ethnicity. But I just thought it was pretty interesting that even in that aspect of it that comes into play of him deciding should the race of the main character be this in the comic book because that could be a movie.
While we're talking. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, while we're talking about this, I've recently friended Inku Kang, or Ingu Kang, I should say, on the on Facebook, and I get to see a lot of her rants, which is very amusing because she's obviously a super talented writer, and she kind of came out against the new Old Boy film by Spike Lee, which we were going to talk about later during film news, but we might as well mention it now. So the old Boy is being remade as
Old New Boy
as a Spike Lee joint, and it's coming out this fall.
Dave, it's not a remake; it's an adaptation of the actual graphic novel.
Oh yeah, no, good point.
Sure,
good point. Peter.
That's what Spike Lee says.
Yeah,
that's what Spike Lee says. Even though so many of his shots and frames look so very similar,
and action beats apparently. And she called she used the term whitewashing to describe the new film, and for me, I that's never even occurred to me that they're remaking it, they're remaking Old Boy for American audiences with white actors, and the fact that the white actors never really bothered me because of course, like they're remaking it, so it's an American director remaking it for America. Of course,
it would make if you were going to just make the same thing. Then why remake it at all?
Well, that was kind of my reaction, but then it's also interesting that we don't even conceive of a scenario where an American director will remake a film using Asian actors. Like that doesn't even enter into our brain as a possibility, which is the case for me. Like I didn't think, why didn't Spike Lee just use Asian actors? You know what I mean? Like. And you probably had that same thought process just now, Peter, right? Like it didn't even occur to you as a possibility. So I'm not saying I want the new Old Boy to have Asian actors saying English lines, but I'm saying that it is worth considering that. Why is it that we need to remake this film with white actors and people speaking English? I mean, I get the English part, but then
do you think it's white actors or do you think it's actors that have some kind of box office power or people,
Well, in our current system, current system, those are the same thing, Peter.
Yeah.
Yes, but like what I'm saying is, do you think it's because they're doing? I mean, I'm asking the intention, Dave.
Well, I mean, whatever, man. It's all part of the institutional system, Like, you can't say, it's because they just like someone out there, some studio executive is like, look, I want to get all the Asianness out of this property. Like, I don't think there's people scheming to do that. I think it just happens. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I also don't think Spike Lee,
right? Spike Lee of all people,
this person trying to do that.
But Spike Lee is under his own constraints about what movie he can make. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
if Spike Lee was like, hey, I'm going to cast a complete Asian unknown actor, his financiers would probably be like, what WTF, man? Which might be why Spike Lee decided to get into Kickstarter recently. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. In any case, Devindra Hardawar, what else have you been watching this week?
Also saw Drinking Buddies, the new Joe Swanberg movie, starring Olivia Wilde, Jake Johnson, Anna Kendrick, and Ron Livingston. This one's about two friends who work in a brewery, Olivia Wilde and Jake Johnson, and they're kind of close friends, and they kind of flirt a bit at work, but they're also both in relationships. So it's sort of like about that tension between, people you sort of like and people you're friends with, friendly flirtations sometimes that could lead to something more versus, and to see how that kind of interacts with your actual relationships. It's an interesting film just because I really like Jake Johnson. I actually love Jake Johnson from New Girl. And this is a great movie from him, too, because much of the dialogue, I think all the dialogue actually, wasn't actually written down. It was actually improv between this entire cast.
Joe Swanberg going into a movie without preparing the dialogue?
Indeed. So, like typical stuff for Joe Swanberg, right? But it's definitely strange to see this with people you can actually recognize, because he's done like smaller indie stuff before, stuff that he's starred in and been in as well, like that VHS segment. But it's definitely different to see Hollywood actors, recognizable actors, act like that.
Is it kind of like when you saw Cyrus from the Duplass brothers?
Yeah, I guess sort of like that. And Cyrus worked too, because I think that cast was really good at the whole thing. And for this one, I think Jake Johnson really shines, because in New Girl, I think he's fantastic. But that show also takes advantage of a lot of improv things and outtakes that the cast does. And he's always, like, I think, the most hilarious person on that show. So the movie really takes advantage of a lot of that. It is pretty dramatic too. It's funny, but it's more like a dramedy of people just like trying to deal with, I don't know, balancing these different relationships in your life. It's a messy movie. It's not exactly very clean, especially where everything ends up. But I think it's entertaining and fun to watch. And it's also on video demand right now, so you can actually watch it pretty easily. It's just a lot of fun, and everyone else is interesting too. Like, I liked Olivia Wilde in this. She's hit or miss for me as an actress, but she's like, I think she's entertaining, and you can understand her struggles. Anna Kendrick, surprisingly, seems to be the one who gets maybe most of the short shrift here, because she doesn't get that much screen time. Neither does Ron Livingston. But I guess they both make an impact in terms of what they actually get to do. So, I don't know, if you like relationship movies, if you like movies trying to do something a little different with the relationship formula, check this out.
Drinking Buddies is currently available. What is it, on Blu-ray, video on demand? How'd you watch it?
It's not Blu-ray. It's video on demand. It's in theaters too. So it's something where, I think it's a fine movie to see in theaters, but you won't really lose much by watching it at home either.
Yeah. So check it out if that interests you. Nothing you said really sold me on it, Devindra, but I can see
it's definitely a fun movie, or an interesting movie.
All right. Peter Soretta, what have you been watching this week?
Since I returned from Comic-Con, I haven't been watching movies or going out of the house. I've been just basically staying in.
Watching movies or going out of the house. I like, I like how you equate those. I like how you equate those two. Like, you would never do one without the other.
Well, no, I see a lot of movies in theaters, Dave, here in LA. And this week has been an exception, because I've just spent the whole week in the house catching up on TV. And there's a few TV shows I wanted to bring up that I don't think I've heard on. Well, I've heard a couple of these on the Filmcast, but just give my perspective. The Bridge. Have either of you watched The Bridge?
Nope.
I've been meaning to. I keep hearing good things about it, but I haven't yet.
It's an FX show. It stars Diane Kruger as a U.S. detective who has to team up with a Mexican detective, and they must like work together. They're hunting a serial killer, and it's on the American-Mexican border. And it's a really interesting show, especially for FX. I haven't really watched a lot of FX shows. The quality seems a lot higher than what I've seen from the network. Don't kill me, Shield people. That was FX, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay. But the character is very multifaceted. You get this almost Asperger's vibe from the main character, and I thought it might just be me, but I searched online, and it turns out that the actress actually is playing it like that, even though it is not stated anywhere in the series that she has that. So it's very interesting from that perspective. There's a lot of twists and turns that will keep you coming back. I think if either of you watched it, you would be hooked. Another show I'm watching is Under the Dome. Kind of going back and forth from enjoying it to hate watching it. I love Brian K. Vaughan. I love Stephen King. I want to like Under the Dome. The first episode was iffy. It got a little more iffy than it just some of the acting, some of the writing choices are just not the best ones. And but I got to say, the last two episodes that I've seen have I'm not going to say it's a great series, but it definitely has gone up in quality, and things are going down that I didn't think would happen until a season finale. There are some, serious threats from the outside of the dome, and some interesting things going on inside the dome. if only we could kill Junior and get his storyline out of the show completely, I would be happy.
Yeah.
But
I think
you've seen some of it, right, Devindra?
I have. Well, I saw the pilot and I saw some of the second episode, and I just kind of had to give up. But I may keep watching just because, yeah, I'm kind of in the same place. I love Brian K. Vaughan. I think it really shows that this is his first time running a TV show, right? Because he used to write for Lost. He, I think, had a producer credit there too. But in terms of actually running an entire show himself, and especially for CBS, a network that hasn't been that great for science fiction shows in general, he's probably in a tough spot.
Well, I think he's in a lot of constraints with CBS.
Yeah.
And CBS is also a network that doesn't do serialized TV. It's mostly
procedurals. It's mostly like five CSIs and. But I mean, I know you guys like The Good Wife, but like that's like
The Good Wife is amazing and actually more serialized. It's kind of a mixture of both. So is Elementary. Elementary is a mixture of both serialized and procedural stuff. So they can do it.
Yeah, this is serialized, but it really is very like bottled stories that like
right.
Something set up within the episode and defeated at the end. Do you know what I mean? Like it pays off. It's not as much as Lost in the serialization, but I would say stick with it if you can get up to the episode I'm on. I forget which episode it is, but or what episode number. Mm-hmm. Brian K. Vaughan isms are starting to come out on the show, and you get these like kind of cool looks into the world and what is going on outside the dome, and what the stuff that he's great at in mm-hmm. the comics of like coming up with these situation and scenarios that make you think of so if there was one last man on Earth, that's what would happen. Do you know what I mean? Like
sure.
It's just very interesting. So yeah, I would say try to stick with it, but there's still a lot of bad. I'm still kind of hate watching it. But
I feel bad for him because I think he was just kind of stuck with a really crappy cast, and that's the really big thing for me. Like you've got a couple interesting actors, like you've got Dean Norris in there, but the leads are boring as hell, and some of the side characters I just hate. I just want them to die, and that's really not like what you want in a series about all these characters trapped under a dome where you won't see many new people. So imagine if you like hated everybody in Lost in the first episode, probably would not fare so well.
What else have you been watching, Peter?
I've been watching the TV show Catfish. Have either of you watched Catfish?
I have. I have seen the TV show Catfish.
I'm addicted to the show. I don't watch a lot of MTV shows, and I know that probably reality television isn't brought up on the Filmcast that often, or at all. But Catfish is almost as it's as good as the movie. It might even be better in some episodes. It's just so ridiculous. If anybody's seen the movie, it's all about.
Well, the TV show is about these people who have online relationships, and then they meet in person, and the show follows them as they meet to see, like, does the person that they have this online relationship with really stack up to what, like in real life, do they stack up to what they are online, right?
Yeah, and it's always these ridiculous circumstances where the person has never video chatted with their online romance.
Here's the thing that like turned me off to the whole show. So I actually watched a couple episodes, but like it recently came out that the way that the show is pitched to participants is, are you deceiving someone in an online relationship, right? And then that's how they make the story so interesting, is because only people who are actually deceiving people will contact them to be like, hey, let's participate in this show.
That's not completely true, but
okay, no, that's right. I'm sure there's situations where they actually like live up to what they actually are, what they portray themselves as. But
there's some shocking situations in that respect in season 2.
But statistically, Peter, I mean, unless you had like stacking the deck, there's no way you're going to get that many fakers. You know what I mean?
No. From what I've been told, and I know someone that knows the producer on the show. It's not entirely them going after the fakers. It's them going over a wide net, and they research it ahead of time before Nev and Max and the show research it. And they are picking mostly the fakers. Right. And they are actually talking to the fake. They actually get to the point that they get on the phone, they're not going to go through taping a whole episode not knowing if the person on the other end is going to want to be part of it.
Right. Exactly. That's how come when they show up at the end and they meet the faker's not like, why is there a camera crew here? Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, but he always okay. But the show itself with Neve and Max, Neve's from the movie Catfish, and Max is his filmmaking friend, or just an excuse to talk about things too. So it's not a solo show. Their experience with it seems, and from what I hear, is genuine. Like they don't really know where things are going to go or what's, and I feel like that for me is what grounds the show is Max and Neve. If this show was just about online relationships and just connecting these people, it wouldn't be interesting to me. But it's the way they the hosts ground the show, and it's their journey with it, because we're experiencing it with them, not just the not just the naive person who
is getting the wool pulled over their eyes. Yeah,
and it's also weird, Dave, because I've come to realize that most of these catfish are either from Texas or Florida. I don't know what's going on with Texas or Florida, but if you are dating someone in Texas or Florida, I would double check.
So, do they set up the title? Like, I remember in the movie, it was kind of just an offhanded kind of statement from one of the people from the Faker's family.
I believe,
I guess,
I think they connect it, like all the opening theme song, whatever, it like connects it to the movie, basically.
Yeah, it explains the whole thing. So basically, if you see the opening credit sequence for the TV show, it actually ruins the movie for you. It spoils the entire.
Just as we have ruined the movie for you.
Yes,
right.
you probably should have put a spoiler warning.
Yeah.
You've had what?
The thing is, look, forget about the period of time. I feel like Catfish has become part of internet parlance at this point.
Exactly.
It's like it's almost like I See Dead People in terms of how much it's gotten into like the culture of like what it means. Oh my gosh, that person got catfished. Like it's become a thing now. So anyway,
but the thing about the show is it's almost always more ridiculous than you think it could possibly be.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you you're thinking one thing and it's always like 10 times worse or 10 times better sometimes. But it I don't know. I'm addicted to the show. And they started doing an after show, which isn't very good, but it's worth noting that they are taking questions from the internet via Instagram video.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting. I haven't seen that been.
Ask your
done.
question in 14 seconds or less.
We should try integrating some of that stuff, Peter, into like /film or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting idea.
So anyway,
Or
Catfish.
the /film cast.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, there's no video component right now to the /film cast, so. But Catfish airs on MTV, Under the Dome airs on CBS, and The Bridge airs on FX. That's what Peter Soretta has been watching this week. Let's move on, guys. Before we get to film news, big thanks to all the people that donated to the show this week. Thanks to Jamie C. from Vancouver, Robert K. from Marlton, New Jersey, Jonathan B. from Ireland, and Patrick Z. from Germany, who also decided to sign up for a subscription. Patrick Z. donated a massive amount. Thank you so much, Patrick. Really appreciate it. Thanks also to subscribers Stephen R. and Mike V. for donating at the rate of $2 per month. If you want to support what we do here on the /Filmcast, just go to /film.com, click on the /Filmcast tab, and use the PayPal links on the left side of the page. So really appreciate it, guys. Let's move on into film news this week. So a lot of stuff I actually wanted to get to last week that we didn't have a chance to talk about because last episode ran super long, and actually this episode looks like it's going that way as well. So
Sorry, guys.
Let's try to speed through some of these things pretty quickly. First of all, unfortunately, we heard this week that Dennis Farina died at the age of 69. Devindra, I think he was like an actor you particularly appreciated, right?
I just, it's sort of the thing with character actors, right? He was one of those guys, or that guy, that you would see in a bunch of movies. So I specifically remember him from things like Out of Sight, I think Get Shorty and Snatch. I love seeing him. So it just kind of hit me that we won't be seeing him in any more new things. Speaking of New Girl, he actually had a couple really good cameo episodes on that show. So I guess it's a good way to send him off.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed him in everything he was in as well. Liked him in Snatch. Liked him in pretty much everything. He kind of Law and Order. I mean, he kind of brought this. I don't want to say gravitas, but this era of badassery. Do you know what I mean? Like you just didn't want to mess with that guy, right? And I really appreciated the screen presence he had. So Dennis Farina, rest in peace. You shall be missed. Okay, couple things that happened not this past week, but 2 weeks ago. I wanted to mention some of the Emmy nominations, and particularly, so a bunch of stuff that we all like and love got some love, from the Emmys. American Horror Story and Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones got 16 nominations, which is awesome. Like, love that show. Really deserves to get a lot of love. Modern Family, Big Bang Theory, Mad Men, Breaking Bad all got recognition as well. But what was the big surprise for me was the nominations for Netflix original series, particularly Arrested Development got a nomination, and for Jason Bateman for Outstanding Lead Actor. Although it did not get a nomination for Best Comedy Series. And also House of Cards got some love as well. House of Cards did get a nomination for Outstanding Drama Series and also for Outstanding Directing for a Drama Series. So, and also Outstanding Lead Actress and Outstanding Lead Actor, Robin Wright and Kevin Spacey. So, a lot of love for House of Cards, some love for Arrested Development. But I just thought it was extraordinary that... And here's the thing. I love how, entertainment journalism works. And I say that knowing that I'm kind of part of the machine. Is that, and Peter Sfreda, you see this, because you see every single article that goes up online.
Yeah.
But when this hit, everyone did everything they could to downplay Netflix's achievements here. They're like, oh, yeah, Netflix did okay, but, I mean, they're no HBO, they're no AMC. Right? And I'm just like, what the heck are you guys talking about? Like, do you understand, like, how big of an achievement this is? Now, again, to be fair, this is not the first time that web-based things have gotten nominated for Emmys. But it's kind of the first time that it's happened in this big of a way. Like, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Series, Best Drama Series. Like, that is incredible that this company that started out as a company that mailed you DVDs in the mail with red envelopes.
In the late 90s. Let's think about how much Netflix has changed and what it's doing now.
Right, and is now making original series that is competitive creatively with some of the best stuff that network television, broadcast television is producing, and cable television is producing. You know what I mean? Like, that is an astonishing achievement, in my opinion. Like, and this is their first year. It's not even like they've been doing it for 5 years and they finally got it. It's like,
and it's not just one series, one original.
Yeah, 2 series. Now, of course, one of them was based on an existing series, and also I know they actually. Well, to be fair, Lilyhammer came out quite a while ago, but this is. I mean,
we can forget about Lilyhammer. Right?
This is the first year like where they've really been doing it in earnest. I mean, there's 4 series.
Lilyhammer, from what I understand, was like produced before Netflix.
Right.
It
exactly.
wasn't like even though it's a Netflix original production, it wasn't really.
Right. I mean, this is the year where you have Orange is the New Black, which is a phenomenal show, by the way.
Yeah. That is a good shot,
should I watch that, guys?
Yes, dude.
I think Peter is being facetious, right?
Because that has a good shot of actually snagging best drama next year, I think.
Let's hope so. And what else? That Eli Roth show that hasn't been getting very good reviews, House of Cards, and Arrested Development. 4 series already in the last 12 months. So this is just like it's just starting. It's just getting started. So I'm really looking forward to how the Netflix model is going to work for creative shows in the future. And actually, Devindra, speaking of Orange is the New Black, okay, to go back to your remarks about Native Americans and Native American actors, right? There is a character in that show who's a transgender character.
Yes,
and she does a remarkable job in the show. And I read an article at Hollywood Reporter about how it's really you don't see that many transgender characters on TV, and when you do see them, it's usually that they get killed off in the opening scene of a Law and Order episode, right? Like it's never like they're a main character with like a huge character arc. And the thing is, when you have a character, an actual actor who's transgender playing a transgender character, it can lead to some really amazing creative material, such as you see in the show. But they just are never given a chance. So that's my point. Is like a lot of actors from like sort of minority groups are just never given a chance, right? It just because, but Netflix, they don't give a crap about advertisers. They don't give a crap about pleasing anyone except for the showrunner, right? And so it allows showrunners to take chances with storylines and plot lines that they wouldn't otherwise be able to take chances with. And so that's what I find truly exciting about this whole thing. So people who are like downplaying the whole Netflix thing, I just don't get you. Speaking of which, also, Peter, I don't know if you've seen. I've read literally
But,
four.
by the way, it should be noted that The Killing also has some transgendered teen characters in it.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah?
good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Also helped Netflix helped resurrect that show. So
There you
Yes.
go. I have read no less than 4 or 5 articles, each at least 1,000 words, about why this Batman Superman movie is going to be terrible. I mean, have you seen this, Peter? Like,
Yeah.
Topless Robot did a list of why it's going to be a terrible idea, and I just don't.
This is my thought. I think they were thinking they were going to do Justice League, and Justice League would have been horrible. Like, not being able to set up the other members of the team and not giving them a origin or whatnot.
Yeah.
It would have been just bad.
Let me ask this bold question though. Would it have been? I mean, okay, so for the Avengers, we did get Thor setup movie. We kind of got a Hulk setup movie.
we got Captain America, we got Iron Man,
We got Captain America, we got Iron Man, but we didn't get.
I'm not saying that you can't introduce a character in Justice League, but I feel like when you open Justice League in the Flash and Wonder Woman driving her imaginary plane that you can't see or whatever, it's just going to be jarring to people that don't know who these characters are.
Right. Well, I mean, because there were some characters that didn't really. I mean, they appeared before, but they didn't really get any plot lines until the Avengers. Hawkeye, for example, the Scarlett Johansson agent character, whose name I still don't know. You know what I mean?
She had some stuff in Iron Man too.
No, I know. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's not. She didn't get a movie beforehand.
Yeah.
No. I think you could definitely use a film like Justice League or even the Avengers films to introduce one or two superheroes. But I think introducing most of the team in one movie would
and when they haven't
telling
appeared,
the story about the team,
right?
That'd
When
be
they
a
haven't
3-hour
appeared
long
at all in previous films.
Right. Superman versus Batman is going to be good because you know what it's going to be. It's going to be Clark coming. I mean, Bruce Wayne coming to Metropolis. Metropolis has been destroyed. He's there to arrest and get rid of the alien who has destroyed Metropolis. This big fight and whatever comes up, and some other villain comes into the play, and they're going to eventually have to team up against this other greater threat. That's the movie right there. I would be surprised if that's not the movie.
Right.
Sure.
So what point are you going to make, Peter, about?
It actually makes Man of Steel even a better movie because I feel like that complaint from a lot of people that Metropolis and it getting destroyed and the casualties and whatnot becomes a plot point for the next movie in the series.
Right. So I'm saying, are you looking forward to the Superman Batman? Yeah,
I'm looking forward to all of them.
And I feel like I'm the only person that's like excited about that movie because all I read everywhere is negativity, and I realize that's very not. I don't know if ironic is the correct word, but it's very interesting coming from me, who is quite a negative person in general. But there's some things I want to get excited about. And
Are you saying you're going against the tide? Yeah.
There's some things I want to get excited about, like Netflix upending our traditional model of creating TV and a Superman Batman movie, and I feel like the internet just is not cooperating with me getting excited about those things.
So the whole plan for this, by the way, is this going to be the introduction of the new Batman, or will there be at some point a new Batman before that?
It said in the press release that this film would introduce the new Batman.
Ugh. Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be kind of weird seeing someone that's not Christian Bale playing Batman going up against Superman.
Yeah.
So, the complaint is that, hey, if Warner Brothers hadn't effed up the universe so badly, they wouldn't be in the situation where they need to depend on Batman as a crutch. Sure. And there's a lot of merit to that notion, but hey, come on, man. Like, a lot of people enjoyed Superman, or a lot of people enjoyed Man of Steel. And, who's to say that combining some of the elements of Man of Steel and some of the elements of Batman wouldn't make for a really good movie? So,
I mean, I want to see this movie, Dave. I'm not. It's not like I'm dreading it, but it's also It's David Goyer writing this movie again, and I think for the more I think about Man of Steel, he was ultimately the biggest problem in that movie. So yeah, I'm not sure how he's going to handle such a big task of like actually uniting Batman and Superman, which has happened quite a bit, in the comics, often in the comics and in the cartoons and the made-for-TV movies, but never in one of the live-action films.
Let us talk about the works of Spike Lee. And in particular, first of all, as we mentioned earlier, a trailer was released for Oldboy recently. And so right off the bat, let's say we're going to spoil the Korean version of Oldboy if you haven't seen it. Because that's kind of relevant to this discussion that we're going to have about the new Oldboy. So as we mentioned, Spike Lee's remaking Oldboy, which is a very well-regarded Korean film. And probably in many people's top 10 of all time. It's just so...
It may be my top film.
It might be your top film of all time, you're saying?
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's pretty bold words.
I mean, it's up there. It's definitely up there, yeah.
It is bold. It is a bold piece of filmmaking. You know what I mean? It is really... Like, when you watch it, you're like, I've never seen anything quite like this. So, a lot of people skeptical about this remake. And I saw the remake, the trailer, and... this trailer was published in. Josh Brolin plays the main character in this film. And I got to say, guys, I really thought it looked kind of like a disaster. I thought it looked like a movie trying to do a pale imitation of the original Oldboy.
Hello? Hello? Hey, tell me why I'm in here. Look at me. No.
Get that heart rate. The body of Donna Hawthorne was discovered. The prime suspect, Joseph Doucette, the victim's former husband and father of the surviving child.
You'll never leave me.
Where'd all that optimism go, Dave? Just like disappeared.
Yeah, it just vanished. But you guys apparently liked it a little bit better, right?
I mean, I think it looks interesting. The thing is, I was personally dreading this remake as well, because I love the original film. And yes, I know the original film was based off of a manga, a Japanese comic of the same name. That was actually a little different. So what Park Chan-wook brought to his Oldboy is just a very different sensibility, and the key plot points are also a little different. So my big worry is, are you going to just redo the Oldboy comic, which nobody has ever heard of or really cares much about in America, or are you going to be redoing the Oldboy film? And it looks like, even though Spike Lee says he's adapting the comic again, you look at frames in this, you look at certain scenes, and it is a direct lift from the Park Chan-wook stuff. At the same time, I think the story itself is just inherently interesting. And I think Spike Lee could do something cool with it. But I'm just a little worried. What I do think is interesting is that the trailer itself just tells you this is not the original film, because that one has a big twist around certain characters, and the trailer in this one just kind of makes it clear, no, we're not doing that at all. It's going to be some other weird random twist.
Well, yeah, and the okay, I've already said we're going to spoil the original Oldboy.
Right.
So, like, the random twist at the end is that, dude is sleeping with his daughter during the movie, And the thing is, like, the whole way that happens in the original movie, I did feel like if you translated that for American audiences, it would probably lose something. Like, the idea that, oh, hey, they locked him in this room and then hypnotized them both to fall in love with each other. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, I don't know how that would translate and how believable people would find that. So they're clearly not doing that, right? It does seem that they're not doing that because, and the way they're not doing that is because in the trailer, it's kind of clear that he knows who his daughter is after he gets out of the jail.
Yeah, his daughter is like, he's seen her on TV. He's kind of followed her.
Right.
And
So they're not doing that, but I do worry that it's going to end up being something like way more generic and stupid. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
well, it's like they're trying to out-twist the twist, which is the bigger problem with doing a remake like this. So then what do you do? Like, is it all a dream?
If the dude is not sleeping with his daughter, how are you going to top that? You know what I mean? How can you?
Also, like, as like a 30-year-long plan for revenge or something, or 20-year-long plan for revenge. It's like the most cold-blooded thing you can think of, too. What are you going to do? What's going on? So
I don't know if cold-blooded is the way I'd use to describe describe it, but yes, it is one of the worst things.
It's definitely like there's a certain mentality that goes into constructing something like this. So for me, if this movie succeeds, it has to kind of reach that level of just insanity. Like, my God, you have just been thinking about this for way too long. So we'll see. Charlton Copley is the bad guy, the big bad, who imprisoned Josh Brolin's character. So I like him. I think it'll be interesting to see what he does. But yeah, the mechanics of this movie is really what it comes down to. And I don't know.
Peter, are you psyched for this?
I'm not excited, but I'm interested to see it. It looked better than I thought it was going to look, and I'm always willing to see a Spike Lee joint. Dave, multi-level stairway hallway sequence. Come on, at least for that, I want to see it.
Well, it's not, I think it's not going to be multi-level, but it's definitely going to be the straight long hallway like before with a hammer.
No, I heard it was multi-level.
Is it?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Like, it's actually going to go up a stairway.
That's how we're different.
Anyway.
We're going to put the camera up.
But when seeing this trailer, it's not like one of those remakes that, you see the trailer and you're like, oh, I see what they're doing. I see the angle. I don't see the angle. It looks like Spike Lee's version of the movie, which does look different, but I don't see the hook that, Spike Lee went into the pitch and was like, "This is why I want to remake."
Exactly. Well, who knows? We'll see what happens. But speaking of Spike Lee launched Kickstarter this week, guys, to make his new film. And let me just read a little bit from this Kickstarter here. With the current climate in the Hollywood studio system, all caps, it's not an encouraging look for independent filmmakers. I'm not hating, just stating the facts. Superheroes, comic books, 3D special effects, blowing up the planet 9 times and fly through the air while transforming is not my thing. To me, it's not just that these films are being made, but it seems like these are the only films getting made. To the studios, it seems like every film must be a home run on a global scale, a tentpole enterprise, able to spin off sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel. I have a different vision of what cinema can be, a different vision of what some underserved audiences might want to see. That is why I'm here on Kickstarter, to raise funds for the new Spike Lee joint to get this bad boy financed. Nothing in life is free, and if you want to see something, you got to pay for it. If you have liked any of my films in the past, that is the price it costs to see another one. Do you wish to see human beings dealing with each other on a human level? I should know throughout is like capitalizing random words. How many more explosions with ear-splitting sound effects can you take? Come on, people. Please get behind this joint. Anyway, I think...
it's funny how he doesn't mention remakes in that intro.
Yes. Good point.
You know what's so strange about this, Dave, is did you watch the video?
I actually haven't seen the video yet, but
he talks so matter-of-factly of how he didn't even know about Kickstarter until one of his students at NYU or wherever he teaches told him about it last week and told him about how Zach Braff and Veronica Mars and it just seems it's so weird that he seems like he's out of the. I mean, he's trying this obviously, so he's ahead of the curve, but it also seems weird that he's out of the loop that he hadn't even heard of Kickstarter or
Well, why would you if you're dude has made some of the best films of all time, right? Theoretically, is pretty good in the Hollywood system, right?
Yeah, but you'd think he would be reading some kind of industry
Not
news
everyone is smart enough to read /film.com, Peter.
Well, I'm not saying /film. I mean,
I know.
Hollywood Reporter and Variety have been writing about this, Kickstarter for years now. I mean,
you think some of his friends would be
at the Academy Awards this year that won Oscars were kickstarted. I mean, I don't understand. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure people in his social circle at some point were like, dude, you really have to check this out. So maybe it's one of those things where he just wasn't paying attention until one of the students brought it up.
So the pitch for the movie is human beings who are addicted to blood, funny, sexy, and bloody, and then in parentheses, and it's not Blackula. That's the entire description of the film. And this thing has been in existence for 6 days or so. And it has gotten $312,000 towards a goal of $1.2 million. I think one of the stories here is $300,000 really does not sound like a lot of money for what we think of attached to high-profile Kickstarters.
Yeah, right? Veronica Mars made what, $2 million in 24 hours?
$2 million within 24 hours.
Yeah,
right. And Zach Braff did $2 million in a week. Very
Zach
close.
Braff.
Well,
Zach Braff. Compare the cinematic works of Zach Braff to those of Spike Lee. What is different about this picture? Matt Singer at thedissolve.com wrote up a list of what he thought were the reasons for kind of why Spike Lee did not make as much money. He had a list of reasons. I'm not sure I'm completely convinced by Matt Singer's list, but some of them seem interesting, like the fact that Spike Lee is not very specific about what it is you're getting, whereas like Veronica Mars, you know what you're getting. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you know what it is that you're paying for.
Also, I mean, in terms of like Spike Lee has made tremendous films, but I'm not sure he doesn't have that active, crazy fan base of like young people as much.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the key. Like these, people who have money to throw at a project, a cool creative project that they want to see. I think I don't know. Veronica Mars in particular was kind of the perfect vehicle for that.
His art house audience doesn't know what Kickstarter is either.
Some of that.
They are his audience is as familiar with Kickstarter as he is. So,
Although I want to say I like what he's putting out there. Like one of the updates he put out, the films that any filmmaker needs to see before becoming a filmmaker, and it's like this list of films that he gives his students at NYU. And it's interesting, stuff like that has me interested at least. But
right.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see where this goes. But what was the production history on Red Hook Summer? Wasn't that a little independent as well? And honestly, have you guys seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
It's kind of a disaster, kind of an epic disaster too, with a lot of actors that you like. But I don't know. I know people who like it, but it kind of goes off the rails to an extent. So yeah, I mean, I love Spike Lee. I love what he's doing. There's no guarantee that whatever he's working on is going to be great, but I love that he's exploring this at least.
Yeah.
I also don't know if he knows Kickstarter enough to know what the backers want. Like,
well, that's the thing. That's one of the things that Matt Singer wrote up in his piece, which I thought was interesting about how the rewards were kind of lame. One of the rewards he listed was $500 for autographed Nikes, various models previously worn by me. Which is like $500 for Spike Lee's used shoes.
Yeah.
That is kind of rough. That being said, he did offer a $10,000 reward tier to take the backer out to dinner and then courtside front row seats to see the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
$10,000. 14 people have already signed up for that $10,000.
Including Steven Soderbergh.
I mean, honestly, that's a good deal. But
well, I don't have
like,
that kind of slash film money lying around, Peter. So.
Well, I mean, honestly, for Spike Lee and the sort of New York crowd,
though, I'd find that.
Yeah, and the New York crowd, like the thing is, this is a city filled with people with way too much money, and if you just kind of figure out a way to wrangle them together and give them cool stuff, like that works. And yeah, I want to point out Steven Soderbergh is one of those $10,000 donators.
Nice.
But not even just that, though. Like the people that backed Zach Braff's Kickstarter, I know you've given him crap on here, Dave. But like I've gotten,
I've given him very mild crap, but continue.
Yeah, I've gotten a handful of videos so far that are well worth my few dollars that I donated. I got a video tour of Legacy Effects, Stan Winston's studio. I got a video showing the casting process, a video showing the location scouting process. And these are not like crappy, shot on an iPhone videos. These are well put together, put together in the quality of a quality featurette, but like with actual good content and not just actors saying, "Oh, I had a great time making this." Look into the filmmaking process, and that's I think some of the stuff that like people that back these projects want. They want to be along for the ride, and I don't think Spike wants to give them Nikes, and they'll get to see the movie when it comes out,
right? Or autographed one sheet of Jungle Fever.
Yeah.
Which he only.
I always wanted one of those.
Well, what's interesting here is there's only one backer available for that. So he only had one poster of Jungle Fever, apparently.
I don't know if there was much planning involved. That's the big thing, because I keep, you listen to Rob Thomas and the folks working the Veronica Mars thing. They worked on that for weeks. Like they planned out all those things meticulously.
Yeah, so and it doesn't seem like it seems like he just kind of said to himself, "What do I have
He
lying
looks
around,
around his office? Is like, I got.
What do I have
90s,
in the
I got a
closet
poster.
lying around?" Yeah, it's kind of yeah.
Dave, after this podcast, you got to watch the video because it's clear he just heard about this from a studio
Yeah.
and doesn't
Yeah.
know what he's doing.
Which
that-
is kind of fun. I like that aspect of it.
That may explain why he's only raised $300,000.
I would like to see the movie about Spike Lee understanding Kickstarter. And
that should be one of the rewards. Is you get a documentary about him because guys. Dude is a super talented documentarian. I mean, what was it? When the levees broke? That's like one of the best documentaries I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
Incredible filmmaker. You know what I mean? So when we kind of make jabs at Spike Lee, it's done out of love and like with a lot of respect. Like we really have a lot of respect for his filmography. It's just like, what is going on with this Kickstarter, man? Because this is really bizarre. So, all right. Before we get to the Wolverine, I do want to mention the chart that you made, Peter Serretta.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's worth talking about. So Peter Serretta, a while ago, was it Steven Spielberg and George Lucas said that one day the film industry is going to completely implode because there's going to be a string of high-profile financial disasters and people will need to rethink. They'll need to rethink how they make and finance films.
Yeah,
And-
there's going to be a lot of these huge, half dozen, mega budget movies. I think what one of them said, and a couple of them are going to crash on the ground. And it's going to destroy these studios.
I don't actually believe them, but if any year is going to be the year that happens, it's going to be the year 2015, right?
Yeah. So this started out as I was just putting together a chart. I was going to put together a calendar of 2015 because I thought, oh my God, Batman versus Superman. This is turning out to be, a huge year in franchise films. And it turned out after I put together this chart, of the 22 films that have been announced for 2015, only 2 films are not a sequel, a remake, reboot, or a comic book adaptation, or a video game adaptation, or a book adaptation. Like only 2 films are quote unquote original films.
Which are those 2 films, by the way?
Pixar's Inside Out,
Right.
and DreamWorks Animation's Boo.
Bureau of Otherworldly Operations.
Yeah, I should note after I put this together, some people said that there's also an untitled Illumination Entertainment project scheduled and an untitled Kevin Hart wedding comedy scheduled. So those two,
Illumination Entertainment is the people behind Despicable Me, right?
yes, so that could very well be a Minions, spin-off, or
Right.
who knows what that is? Could be a Dr. Seuss thing, But anyways, so the films in 2015 announced so far: Fantastic Four, Cinderella, The Penguins of Madagascar, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Assassin's Creed, Inside Out, Terminator, Boo, Independence Day 2, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Smurfs 3, Hotel Transylvania 2, Ant-Man, the next Bond film, a Peanuts animated movie, Mockingjay Part 2, Finding Dory, the sequel to Finding Nemo, Alvin and the Chipmunks 4, Kung Fu Panda 3, Dan Brown's Inferno, which I think might be part of the Da Vinci Code series, Warcraft, Jurassic Park 4, Episode 7 of Star Wars, that little movie, and obviously Superman vs. Batman. So that's just an insane list of movies.
And it is 2013. That's just the ones we know about right now, right?
Yeah, and it should be noted that before I get hyperbolic about all these sequels and remakes and adaptations, that usually you only announce a film for like a date this far out if it's a high budget, huge movie.
Right, and the studios are trying to claim dates as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to say, hey, we have this date, and you guys should stay away because we're going to open this date.
Yeah, so that's why a lot of these tend to be these bigger sequels, reboots, remakes, adaptations. But still, even looking at this list, I want to look back at actually the last couple of years and see how many of those came out. I think this is probably unprecedented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel as a film lover, Peter?
Excited in some respect because I'm excited for Star Wars. I'm excited for a new Jurassic Park. I'm excited for Avengers. But in another respect, I would, how are we gonna I went to this panel at Comic-Con with Alfonso Cuarón, Mark Webb, and Edgar Wright, and they were talking about this implosion. And I think Edgar Wright said, "How are we going to, make a sequel of a movie in 5 years from now if we don't make the original this year?" And it's coming to that because when you have Smurfs 3 and Penguins of Madagascar and Fantastic Four and Cinderella, like where is the original property to remake in 5 years?
Right. The snake will soon start eating its own tail. Basically.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like a bleak future, Peter, from which
I don't think it's that bleak.
Quality
We still
cinema
have some-
will not be able to escape. So, on that note, let's dive into our review of The Wolverine. No, I mean, I'm kind of being facetious. I mean, look, filmmaking and the state of cinema, we've said this like a bunch of times before, it's better than it's ever been, it's worse than it's ever been. Quality films are still being made. You can pick up a consumer grade camera for $5,000, spend $500 in software and shoot and edit a movie. Do you know what I mean? You can shoot a movie on frickin' these cheapo camcorders. I was watching Catfish recently, a couple months ago. You mentioned Catfish, the MTV show, right? Yep. And what's impressive about that movie is how little money they spent on the equipment, right? Like,
I love even the creative transitions using Google Maps.
Yeah, they use Google Maps to do transition. You know what I mean? Like, they had very few resources. That movie is actually, it gives me a lot of hope in a variety of ways because it's like with very little pro grade equipment. Like, the Canon 5D Mark II looks way better than the stuff that they used in that movie, right? And with equipment that's prosumer, like consumer grade right now, you could shoot something that gets into Sundance. You can shoot something that gets into the Toronto International Film Festival. And it could become a television show, and you could get a gig directing Paranormal Activity 3. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's better.
I mean, the guy that had, you mentioned Jake Johnson earlier, but the guy that had Safety Not Guaranteed 2 years ago at Sundance, which is this little, relationship. I mean, it has a time travel twist to it, but like it's a little small film. He's now directing Jurassic Park 4.
Right.
So
I guess when you put it that way, I guess it's kind of like you might not be able to do the things that creatively mean the most to you, but you will make a lot of money. And in the end, isn't that all that matters? I think, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Money, yes.
Okay. And speaking of money, let's get into The Wolverine.
Thank you. It's beautiful, Yoshida. Keep it safe for me. Someday I'll come get it.
My employer is dying. He wants to thank you for saving his life all those years ago. It's an honor to meet the Wolverine.
That's not who I am anymore.
After the war, the Yashida family business became Japan's largest. He made advances that have saved millions of lives.
I want to offer you a gift, Logan. You have struggled long enough. Your ability to heal can be passed to another. Allow someone else to shoulder your burden. Logan, son, I can make you mortal. Trust me, Bob. You don't want what I've got. I'm not ready to die.
That was from the trailer for The Wolverine, the newest film by director James Mangold. Stars Hugh Jackman and a bunch of really cool Japanese actors whose names I'm not going to try to pronounce for fear that I will completely...
Actual Asian people, yes.
Actual Asian people.
In Japan.
In this film. I know, it's shocking. We talked about X-Men Origins Wolverine when it came out. That was a pretty disappointing film. I think
that's even cutting it a little short, but yeah. It was a horrifically disappointing.
I think the word hate is probably comes more.
Yeah.
Probably one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Oh, come on, Devindra.
It is.
That's
It's up there
exaggeration.
for me because it's not only like it's we've seen bad movies. People just make bad movies. Okay, fine. You have a bad script or whatever. This one, every single element of the movie is just an epic failure. And for me, a worse bad movie is one that has like the makings of something good. You have the elements of something good, and you waste them. How do you waste all of that?
Right.
So yeah, I hate that movie with a passion.
Got it. So, in that case, Devindra Hardawar, did the Wolverine erase the negative taste of X-Men Origins Wolverine from you?
I will never forget X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'll never actually that movie is
Every
just
day, Devindra goes by like a reflecting pool and just thinks about it.
cut out a piece of my
we
soul.
make bumper stickers for X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I'll never get that
forget.
back. But I will say that this movie, I love this movie, and it goes a long way towards like showing that Fox can actually make good X-Men movies again, or at least good standalone movies. Because I really enjoyed First Class as well. Although I think that movie, it really shows that they were also really rushed with production. This one, I just love it. I love the texture of it. I love everything Hugh Jackman is bringing to this role, and I think specifically, I love how James Mangold is treating the story and this character. He gets the essence of Wolverine, which is something Origins definitely lacked, but something that we definitely saw in X1 and X2, is that, this is a tortured character. He lives forever. That's not actually a good thing. I think to a certain degree, immortality is sort of like a curse. And for Wolverine, a guy who's had a pretty shitty life, especially at the end of X3, where he had to kill the woman he loved, things are kind of tough. So I like how it balanced all that out, but I also like the other texture of the film was like bringing Wolverine to Japan, doing the Frank Miller story that everybody loves, is just fantastic. It's a mixture of samurai film and Western. We have already seen James Mangold just make a knockout Western with 3:10 to Yuma, and I always thought he was a great director for this story. Like, as soon as they announced him, I was excited about it. I'm glad to see that he definitely pulled it off. The action is fun. So many of the sequences are just, I think, are great set pieces, especially the stuff in the train, which you see in the trailers, but once you actually get to it, it's actually a lot more inventive and a lot more fun than I actually thought it would be. So I was surprised. It does kind of falter a bit at the very, very end. Like, once they have to wrap up the story and you have to fight like the final big bad, I don't think things are as clear as they could be, but the rest of it's just so good. It is just a fantastic look at this character, and it really takes its time. I really love how much this movie takes its time, like a samurai film, in a way. It really takes its time to get itself going, and you really care for Wolverine and for these characters. So, yeah, loved it.
Peter Soretta.
Yeah, no, exactly what you said. The thing is, this movie is a movie. The first 2/3 of this movie is a movie. The last 1/3 is a comic book movie, and it's an X-Men movie.
It's like
and
they
it
can't
has all the bad.
shackles.
What?
Mm-hmm. It's like they can't escape the shackles of what being a comic book movie is by the very last of it. But yeah.
But the first 2/3 are amazing. Or I think are amazing. I love the stuff I love how character based it is. You can really tell watching this why Darren Aronofsky wanted to make this when he was attached to it. There's so much there, and it's so interesting to have a character that is immortal. And usually, in what you were saying about the loneliness of that,
sure,
if that was a truth, but it's interesting because a lot of superhero films you introduced a kryptonite, something that makes an immortal mortal, and it's this bad thing. And in this film, they introduced a kryptonite of some kind, being vague, and it is very interesting how that is tempting in a way to this character, and how it changes the dynamics, and how it's used in much different way than other comic book movies and superhero films. And I love the buddy cop kind of, Logan and Yukio. I don't know the actress's name.
Rila Fukushima.
Yeah, but it's just a fun. I mean, I actually like them together more than I liked Logan and Mariko?
Yeah. They're just like a fun team to see them go kicking ass. I think what this movie gets really well too is that it really recognizes that Wolverine's life, Logan's life, is all about pain. Like that's what he is. That's who he is. Like think about the fact that every time this guy takes out his claws, you know, he is ripping through his skin to make this happen. You know, that is his power. His power is healing too, sure. But everything he does, there's an essential pain to it. I think back to like X2 in the whole opening sequence when he's talking to Professor Xavier in Cerebro, and he has to put out the cigar. So what does he do? He just burns it out on his hand, and he kind of like, you know, it's kind of painful, but you can also tell that he sort of revels in being able to do that. I love the fact that this movie gives Wolverine a certain sort of vulnerability where his pain doesn't just heal immediately. You know, he has to actually care about this stuff now.
So overall, I think I agree with you guys. I had a really great time at the theater watching this movie. There's a lot of positive things about this movie. Some of the set pieces are really inventive. The train set pieces, which looks like really terrible in the trailers, I actually think kind of works when you're in the theater.
Definitely, yeah.
And the stakes are relatively small for a superhero film. Like it's and that's refreshing. Like there's no giant blue laser shooting down onto the planet or out into space. It's not like the entire fate of humanity is at stake, you know, for the most part. Like it's not like they keep the stakes really small. They keep it a small, intimate story. They try to have
It's also somewhat of a mystery throughout, which is kind of interesting.
Right. And so you know, I think Hugh Jackman does some great work. He can basically play this role in his sleep at this point. He does a great job with it.
This is his, sixth time playing Wolverine?
This is his sixth time in a movie playing Wolverine.
Yep.
And apparently it will soon to be seventh with the Days of Future Past.
And
I will say
make him like the actor who has played a character the most on the big screen ever, or something. I remember reading. Anyways.
Right. Although probably some of the Lord of the Rings movies will give that a run for its money. But
yeah.
I think that you know, the ending and some certain elements of the film, which we're going to get into pretty soon, got a lot dumber the more I thought about them, and actually kind of like I wouldn't say ruined the movie, but I would say like they definitely it's one of those movies where you think about the more you think about it, the more disappointed you are with it. Because
I was worried here, Dave. I was worried you were going to Skyfall this movie. So
no, yeah, I mean, I still think there's enough to enjoy here to make it worth recommending. But the biggest achievement of this movie, in my opinion, is that it actually pays off a lot of the stuff that happened in X3. Which, like, I never thought we'd ever see. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to spoil some elements of X3 here, okay? I'm not going to spoil elements of the Wolverine yet, but I'm going to spoil some elements of X3. And actually, you know, does honor to some of the things that you see in X-Men Origins Wolverine, like the bone claws. You know what I mean? Like, you see the bone claws come back in the opening scene of this film.
Although that's a core thing of the character.
Right.
No, I know. Anything
but just the fact that they even, you know...
Yeah,
like respected the timeline in that way, I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, the whole Jean Grey elements, right, were really, I thought, decently done. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they invoked Jean Grey, and you've known his relationship with this character, and you know what is like that he had to kill her at the end of X3. There's another big one that I can't mention until we get to spoilers, but that's like
two big ones actually.
Two big ones. But it actually, when I tweeted this, that it actually makes X3 worth it. The thing with X3 is that X3 made all these references to all this crap that I just thought they threw all this stuff out and you're never going to hear about it again.
Sure.
And that's really disappointing when a movie does that, because it's kind of just doing it for shock value. But the Wolverine, you know, whether or not it will actually pay off in a good way remains to be seen. But at least the Wolverine, the movie, says like, hey, we're going to take some of these plot points that you just randomly threw out there in X3, and we're going to try to make something of them.
It definitely uses one plot point, one key plot point in X3 very well, which is the fact that, you know, Jean Grey was insane. Like, she was super powerful. Yeah. She was the most powerful mutant on Earth, and only Logan could stop her, and the only thing he could do was kill her because of his healing factor. I actually just rewatched X3, and it's honestly shocking how inconsequential that entire movie is. Like, we're talking X3 spoilers now. I forgot Jean Grey killed Professor Xavier, and that's actually a pretty interesting sequence where, like, a house is floating around and stuff.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, in my brain, you'd think a major character dying like that you'd remember it only a couple years later. Yet it's just like, oh, whatever. It just vaporized. And honestly, most of the movie too, like there are a couple other things that happen, people losing their powers, where the movie just doesn't quite stick with it. Whereas this one, I kind of love that there are consequences. Like everything really matters here. A pet bear in this movie matters. Right. I kind of love that about it. I love that it kind of takes its time and pays attention to certain things like that.
That bear sequence is just a great opening.
Yeah.
So I have to say, I am a little bit torn about how the movie, quote unquote, uses Asians and Asianness in the movie. Like because here's on the one hand, dude. Here is a movie that's going to make, $500 million worldwide or whatever. It's going to be a big movie, right? It was number one at the box office. It's going to do very well. And there's a ton of Asian actors in it, and it takes place in an Asian country. Mm-hmm. And that's awesome. But on the other hand, it does kind of go for those. And another good part is that, like, the Asian actors are not, like, in my opinion, they're not they don't have the normal look that you'd expect to see from Asian actors. Like like Ryla Fukushima, like I feel like she has a really unique look. Do you know what I mean?
The two female roles are like they haven't even really done anything before this. This is like their first.
Yeah, this is her first movie. Do you know what I mean?
Actually, yeah, definitely. Dave, though, her look is definitely reminiscent of Japanese teenagers.
Oh, for sure,
youth
for sure.
Style. So
I agree.
Yeah, it's sort of like you don't really see that as much in movies, but I kind of love the fact that that's now a co-star in a superhero film. It's a very unique style.
You don't see it in American movies that much.
Yeah.
And so I find it really refreshing. On the
other hand, something like Tokyo Drift, which is what this movie kind of reminds me of in certain ways, too.
Right. And also, I should say, the female / side characters actually participate actively and have like a significant role in the outcome of the film, right?
Yes.
So it's not like they're just kind of damsels in distress or bystanders. Like there is something, they do have like they do make contributions, which actually
there are motivations. Like
they have motivations, they make contributions.
Motivations, yeah.
But on the other hand, it's kind of like that this movie trots out a lot of things that we associate with Japan. I'm not going to name them all because some of them are spoilery, but like love hotels and samurais. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff that when you do word association.
Some of those aspects, like the samurais, are definitely a part of the Frank Miller.
Yeah,
sure.
Story.
And you could go back to the problems there, but honestly, like that, what you're talking about, like samurai culture, or what the more traditional culture, or the stuff the soldiers did earlier on, like wondering what you're talking about, Dave.
I think just if I asked you to do word association with Japan,
sure,
like a lot of the stuff you'd say ends up in this movie.
Yeah,
and so. I don't know. I'm not 100% comfortable with it. Like when I saw the movie, I was very invigorated and excited that all these Asian actors were getting work. Do you know what I mean? And that this movie felt like it was respecting the culture, but I didn't know. Like I just feel like I don't know enough about Japanese culture to be able to speak on it. So I don't know. I guess this has ended up being kind of a worthless digression, but I just feel like there's not enough there for me to say, wow, this movie really respects Japanese culture, but it's not disrespectful enough that I'm like, wow, this is an embarrassment. Do you know what I mean?
Dave, I think either way, I think this is more positive than negative.
Yeah. I think I can agree with that.
Yeah.
But, like one movie that you might compare it to is like The Last Samurai. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where it also has a lot of Asian actors, but Tom Cruise was a star, and he kind of that kind of came in and just mastered this entire culture. That did not happen in this movie, right?
Good.
It's not like the Wolverine was like, oh, now I'm going to be. He doesn't like dress up in samurai garb at the end of the movie and master the culture and show everyone how it's done. And
I'm actually surprised they didn't do more of like the fish out of water kind of stuff that was in the.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
Iconic.
Yeah, so overall, I agree with you, Peter. I think overall, I came out with a positive impression of how this movie handled the Asian elements of it. And so to that degree, it's unique. It's something you won't see really in many other big action blockbusters this year. And so that's why I got to recommend this movie, even though it kind of takes a crap in its pants in the last third.
Just a bit. I think mainly because they introduce this character. You see her in the trailer, this blonde doctor woman, and the actress is actually pretty good. She was in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but either she was not directed well, or her lines.
Her character, it's a nothing character.
There's nothing going on there. Yeah,
like you don't know what her motivations are. Other than that, she's generally evil. You don't even know like what her, let's just say, what her capabilities are really. And so we're gonna get into this in spoilers.
Well, I think this. I do want to say this is a trouble I'm seeing a trend in Hollywood is like they're trying to do these mystery plots, and I think some films do it good, like Iron Man 3, and you could disagree there, but there's a lot of films like Star Trek and Into the Darkness. That like it almost hinders the stories and the character by just trying to bottle stuff up for a twist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I completely agree.
I can hear that. Although, on the other hand, I appreciate the sort of like noirish elements to this story too, because I like the detective stuff, and I think it just works. Like a lot of the drama in this movie, you have the stuff with Logan dealing with his superpowers and dealing with the loss of Jean, but you also have this struggle. It's like a Japanese corporate struggle. You have family dynamics that you're exploring, and it feels like a samurai film, like a very classic, sometimes even Kurosawa-esque. Like the drama going on between the characters. You're dealing with the difference between tradition and modernity, lineages in terms of accepting who is taking over companies and stuff. It's some pretty basic stuff, but I kind of like seeing it, and especially in a superhero movie like this, it feels authentic in a way.
All right, guys, we are really running out of time, so I think we should get into spoilers if we can.
Yes.
But yeah, overall, I think we all enjoyed it, and it's definitely a lot better than X-Men Origins Wolverine. Let's get into spoilers for The Wolverine.
Now you're looking for the secret.
Going to see this coming?
No. But you won't find it because, of course,
You're not going to see this coming.
you're not really looking.
I have been puzzling over how it works.
You don't really want to work it out.
Who's in the box?
I have been dying to tell you.
I want to tell you my secret.
You want to be fooled.
Okay, so guys, let's start with the good. Let's start with the good and then go to the bad, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The good is the stinger on this film is freaking amazing.
Yes.
Oh,
right?
that's
like,
amazing.
Pretty meaty too.
So good. I totally fanboyed all over myself when I saw this. I mean, so at the end of X3...
It almost outdoes Marvel. I know this is a Marvel property, but like they almost outdo Marvel Studios.
Mm-hmm. Right. And just so people know, like Marvel Studios is owned by Disney, and so they make like the Avengers and stuff like that. But some of Marvel properties are actually still under the care of other studios, like 20th Century Fox, which made this movie. So when we say how good Marvel Studios is at building the universe, Captain America, those are all Marvel Studios films. The X-Men movies are all 20th Century Fox, right? Or most of them are.
Yes.
So the fact that they were able to kind of put a stinger like this in a 20th Century Fox film is pretty impressive. Okay, so at the end of X3, a couple things happen, right?
Yeah.
You find out the stinger for X3, I believe, is that Charles Xavier wakes up, or no, he throws his consciousness into another dude's body, right?
Did we see that actually happen? All we see is a guy wake up and say, "Hey," he talks to Moira.
Well, it's with Patrick Stewart's voice. So.
With Patrick Stewart's voice. Do we
which
know
makes
he throws
no
his
real sense because he's in another guy's body, but
Sure.
whatever. So maybe he made Moira hear Patrick Stewart's voice.
No, it was definitely through that body. I just didn't know if it was like Xavier's body or somebody else's.
No,
that's the gist of it.
That was it was a different dude's body.
Okay.
So he threw his consciousness into some other dude. And also, I actually did like the last shot of X3, which is Magneto like slightly moving the chess piece, right?
Except it's completely nullifies the little bit of drama there. Like they didn't even really deal with the drama of Magneto losing his powers. It's just like, oh, he takes a couple shots.
Again,
yeah.
X3's failings are multitudinous.
Oh man!
But point being, right? This film respected what X3 did. Do you know what I mean? Like it took what X3 did, Magneto getting his powers back, and Charles Xavier still being alive, and kind of made it into this crazy stinger that sets up X-Men Days of Future Past.
I mean, I don't know if it's respected. It's just they had to do it to a certain degree too. But yeah.
Ah, fair enough. But I thought it did it in the most awesome way imaginable.
Definitely.
I did have a very lengthy nerd argument with Matt Singer about what. Okay, so first of all, it's not Xavier's body, right? That he's in, or maybe they're going to explain it somehow. Who knows?
It looked like Xavier, but yeah, I figured.
Well, what I'm saying is, at the end of X3, he didn't throw. It was Xavier's body was dead at the end of X3, so he threw himself into some other consciousness. So then it's like, okay, well maybe he's just making Logan see himself as Xavier, right? But then it's like, well, why wouldn't you make him into a version of himself that could walk? And then I said, well, it's because you wouldn't want him to be shocked by seeing you in a state that he's not used to you in. And then Matt was like, but dude, he came back to life from the dead. Like, isn't that the more pressing shocker?
Yeah.
So I don't really know why he appears in that exact form.
It's comics, Dave. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's really all we can chalk it up to at this point.
Yeah. So I really like the stinger. I mean, do you guys like the stinger?
Oh yeah, I like that. It was definitely, it's long too. Like it feels like a whole other scene in the movie, because most stingers we get are like maybe 15 seconds long or so. This one felt meaty, and it's just good to see Magneto and Xavier back together. Although, you know what, watching X3, it's pretty astounding how like pretty much every scene seems to be nullifying whatever timeline they're trying to make up. Like in the very first scene, they meet young Jean Grey, and Xavier looks like Patrick Stewart, and he can walk. And there's stuff like that. So it'll be really interesting to see how they manage the timelines. But yeah, good teaser.
But
it's definitely a good way to get excited.
It's also cool that they tease Trask's character,
right?
Who's played by Peter Dinklage.
Yeah. So that should be fun. Do you think that's what they're talking about when Magneto's talking about the machines that can destroy planet Earth or whatever?
Has to be.
Has to be. Yeah.
I'm just wondering how this is actually going to be integrated with the Days of Future Past film, because this almost seems like a scene that you would need to have in that film.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or, dude, they're just assuming that you've seen this movie. You know what I mean?
They could also just continue straight off from the scene too. So who knows how it goes? Because I love the 2 years later bumper, because it also sort of leaves room for more Wolverine movies in between. Days of Future Past.
Right? Exactly. Very cool.
So we could still do more Wolverine one-offs, and he and the girl can have their own little adventures. I think that's kind of fun. I'd love to see another one of those soon.
So let's talk about the bad guys, and the bad is. What the hell was going on with that final sequence? I mean, first of all, the female mutant character, right? The doctor, the Svetlana Kodchenkova. Viper, right? Like, her motivations are never made clear. Her powers are never made clear, right? She puts this parasite in Logan, but then she also can breathe out stuff that burns people with acid. And then at the end, she falls down like 10 stories, and then she starts molting, right? Like it's just never made clear like what her powers are.
Do that too. It's like, I'm going to be bald now, you know.
Yeah, it's just so weird. And the thing is, she seemed like a really cool actress, obviously very attractive and very threatening. It just the character just wasn't there in the script.
This movie could have just cut that character out completely, and it would have been stronger for it, honestly.
Yeah. Also, one question we had was like, why is the dude obsessed with, why is the old general character, or the Ishida guy? So one of the things is like, I wish we had seen a little bit more of Ishida. Like the whole like conflict of, does Logan want to give up his ability to live forever? That is never really paid off to its full potential. I mean, like he's kind of like, you don't want what I got, bub, and that's it. Like, there's no him struggling with it, him realize, you know what I mean? Like, none of that is in the movie, and so that's kind of like, I wish that had paid off a little bit more. Yeah. Why is Yoshida obsessed with getting adamantium? Like, the adamantium is totally unrelated to the healing factor, right?
It is totally unrelated. Although I think he was so enamored with Logan. Like, he wanted his strength. So the adamantium, which I guess he learned Logan got later, because when he saw Logan, there was no adamantium. But, you know, guy loves adamantium. He wants strength, and he wants the healing factor. So I guess it's a nice, tidy way to tie in the story into Logan, I guess. I do like the fact that the movie sets up this guy as just a complete, sort of like a coward in a way, because the opening scene, instead of him dying nobly with the other Japanese generals who are committing seppuku. Which, by the way, I love the entire opening scene.
Yeah,
I love
opening
the fact,
scene is fantastic.
just great. And I love the fact that this series continues to tie itself into big historical events, because that kind of it kind of shows us the I don't know, the ways you can utilize the mutant story and how it can tell different stories about our own humanity. But yeah, that opening scene, he's a wimp. Like he's too cowardly to die there. So it's nice that he saved Logan, and that's why Logan ended up saving him. But clearly, this is a guy who just didn't want to die the noble death. So maybe after becoming so big and powerful, I wish we got more of his motivations as well. But I can understand him just being like, he doesn't want to die. Like, that's basically it. It's a pretty basic need.
Peter, what did you think of the final act? A lot of people thought it went into sort of very cartoonish, cartoon villainy, and like
giant
ridiculous
suit of armor. Yeah,
I liked it up until the point they got to the headquarters. Like, I liked the little Japanese village or whatever it was with all the samurai. I was actually on set for some of that, which is actually interesting because the stuff I saw on set, which was this whole sequence with a snowplow and like these ninjas getting like run over by a snowplow with Wolverine on top of the snowplow, is not even in the film. So,
there's going to be a director's cut, right? I think Mangold talked about that.
And the stuff I saw on set was like, I don't want to say bloody, but it looked very more R-rated than what I saw in the movie. And not that I was bothered by the PG-13 of the movie, but I'm very interested to see what the director's cut is, because there definitely was a lot more to that whole sequence.
Yeah, and that sequence is actually pretty awesome, because you think, like, when you have invincible people, you have to figure out creative ways of ending those battles, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about Man of Steel and how I feel like it was limited in its success of doing this. But this movie, Wolverine going up against a bunch of ninjas, what would ninjas do? You can't kill him, but maybe you can slow him down, right? And firing a bunch of harpoons at his back sounds like a pretty reasonable thing to do, actually.
Or just arrows. And honestly, I love that whole thing, because that harkens back to plenty of Kurosawa films. I think Iran in particular,
right?
Where
I
love
the porcupine imagery that's straight out of the Frank Miller comics. You got to give credit to David Leitch, who is the second unit director. He's a stuntman. He's done a lot of second unit on like the Wachowski brothers stuff, and he I mean, at least from what I saw when I was on set, was in charge of the action while Ingold was doing the more dramatic stuff. The action in this film is really, really good up until that headquarters sequence, which it kind of falls apart.
Well, it's just a little, it's just silly. It's just pretty silly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Luckily, it's like mercifully short, right? We get a couple good set pieces, and then you have that whole really dramatic village sequence with Logan getting shot full of arrows, and then it's like 10 or 15 minutes, and then we have the Silver Samurai fight, which is a pretty shitty way to deal with the Silver Samurai character, I guess. Yeah. Although that other guy, Hanada, the lead ninja, he's technically, I think, the actual Silver Samurai in the comics. So it all gets kind of confusing, and then that guy gets killed off.
Wait, can anybody explain to me, there's the sequence at the end of the movie where Wolverine's claws get cut off.
Right?
Yeah.
But then he gets them back?
No,
I don't remember
this
because I saw this like a month ago.
He doesn't get them back, and that's actually one of the confusing things, is because he doesn't get back the claws. And actually, when those claws get cut off, that is like a really traumatizing moment in the film.
Looks pretty bad. Yeah.
Wait, so what happens there? There was something that I was confused about.
So the Silver Samurai, the robot, when Wolverine is hanging, kind of drills into the open wounds of the claws, and I think what happens, and what we've seen happen in the comics, is that he pumps the adamantium out of Wolverine's skeleton. Like he is taking it out. The weird thing is the movie doesn't do anything with that. So
I'm not talking about that moment. I'm talking about like when he's hanging off the building and the claws get actually cut off, right?
Yes. Right. And the bone claws come back.
Yeah.
But then after they get cut off, the bone claws are able to extend? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
They are still able to extend. That's right.
Yeah.
And what's also weird is that at the end, it's clear that Magneto is able to control Wolverine. So he still has some adamantium left in him, right? So it's not really...
He got it back by that point. Like, maybe the next Wolverine movie... Yeah, the next Wolverine movie will be the quest for adamantium again or something.
I think in the end, you know, like there's just a couple of too many subplots and side characters introduced here. Like Harada, his whole plot line is just really poorly done. Like, you know, what is his motivation? What is he trying to do? He has a change of heart all of a sudden. It's totally unearned. I mean, introducing all the side characters about this whole, like, Yoshida Industries and who's going to take over, all this political intrigue. Really, I don't think anyone really gives a crap about any of that stuff. I mean, or I'm sorry. I should say I didn't give a crap about any of that stuff. And I don't feel like those plot lines were executed very well.
I kind of like seeing them because they are different. They're very different for a movie like this, because superhero movies don't typically deal with some sort of like mundane plots, but they definitely could have painted this whole situation a little more clearly, because early on we see Harada helping, you know, Wolverine and them fighting off the Yakuza, and then later on it's almost as if Harada becomes another enemy. It's kind of confusing.
Right, he becomes like beholden to the lizard woman, and then
it's all Viper's fault. If she wasn't in this movie,
she messed up the whole plot of this movie.
Or if if they had written that character a bit better, I think even the way it's portrayed, like it just didn't work. Like that's one element of this movie that'll always be a problem. But I kind of like the different factions. I just wish it was clearer why people were doing what they were doing towards the end.
Right. Well, anyway, overall, I think we still really enjoyed the film, even though it has a bunch of flaws. But yeah, The Wolverine, it's out in theaters now. Check it out. Yeah. Find more of our episodes at /filmcast.com. Email us at /filmcast@gmail.com. Stay tuned to hear what we'll be reviewing next week. In the meantime, Peter Soretta, where can people find your stuff?
You can find my work at /film.com and twitter.com/film.
Devindra.
You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/Devindra, and I write about technology at venturebeat.com.
Twitter.com/Dave Chensky. That's Dave Chen, SKY. DaveChen.net. Find the new podcast I'm doing about Breaking Bad at theoneswhoknock.com. Stay tuned next week. We'll be reviewing The Spectacular Now, which will be out in theaters next Friday. Thank you guys for listening to the official podcast of /film.com. We're out.
We watch the movies, flicks, tracks for the good, bad. It's the /Filmcast. For all the news and the movies coming out, 'cause you know that it's the thing worth talking about.